Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Thursday. Hi, hello, how the heck are you? So glad you're with us for the next 3 hours and change here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning into the program today, thanks so much for being a part of the audience. It's good to have you along for 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. We've got 3 hours to hang out and a little bit longer. We'll have some overtime later on today prior to Westwood One coverage of Thursday Night Football taking over the airwaves at 6:30. And we got a whole lot of football discussion for you on today's edition of the program. So we're excited to have you along for that. The Chiefs and the Raiders on Sunday afternoon. It is a noon kickoff. How many of you are fired up to have a noon game? Like, obviously, the amount of prime time and even the late afternoon window becoming like the major network version of the primetime game, that 3:25 late afternoon kickoff over the last handful of years has become like another showcase game. Like the networks traded off. You notice that, right? Like 1 week it's CBS gets a big national game, 3:25 the whole country sees. Then the week after that, Fox calls it their America's Game of the Week. But even that's a marquee broadcast window now, instead of just being when the West Coast teams play their games. And the Chiefs being in all of those marquee windows, whether it's late afternoon or prime time, that's obviously complimentary of the team the Chiefs have become in the last decade or so during this dynastic run. But do you miss the noon kicks? Are you excited to have a noon kick? You wake up, you get breakfast, you go to church, do whatever it is you do on Sunday mornings, and then at noon, you watch a game. And then when it's done, you don't have to wait all day for Sunday night. You can go out about the rest of your day, relax, ward off those Sunday scaries, and do whatever it is you do on a Sunday evening. Maybe get the family together for a nice early supper. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm a little curious. Text the show, 785-272-9429. Jump into the YouTube chat. Tell me how you feel about a noon kick for the Chiefs. You like it, or do you just not care? You just, hey, tell me when the game's on. I'm going to be in front of the TV. Now, I'm sure that's how the vast majority of you are in general, but I got to think there are some of you out there that really appreciate being able to have a noon kick and just not sit around all day, wait for the game. So I'm pretty grateful for it. I'm grateful for it because I can be a more active participant in my son's bedtime routine without my wife having to take over because I got to go watch the game, or having the game on pause. And then there are a lot of times this season where I've had a Chiefs game where I jump in and I don't get caught up with live action until like halftime. And that's fine. I mean, it's part of the adjustment process. You do what you have to do for your family, for your kids. And maybe some of you are the same way out there and don't do this for a living like I do, but still, you know, the Chiefs are on hold until you get your kiddos to bed, and then you go and catch the game, start on your DVR or pick up where you left off, whatever it is. But the noon kick, no worries at all. My son can check that one out for a little bit before his nap. We have to get him down for a nap at some point. But let me know how you feel about the noon kick today on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to talk a little bit about Jaylon Moore because all of a sudden, he's a very important member of the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Simmons is still not with the Chiefs, and nobody is saying why. So Jaylon Moore is the left tackle for the foreseeable future. It seems pretty likely that he's going to be the guy on Sunday when the Raiders come to town, and indefinitely. I mean, we don't know how long Josh Simmons will be absent from the Chiefs lineup. So we'll talk about Moore. How good was he actually in his first start as a Chief against the Lions? And the reason that I'm optimistic about Moore at left tackle for however long he is the left tackle. Also talk about the other team's offensive line, the Raiders. boy, howdy, it's bad. and I have a stat that shows just how bad this offensive line for the Raiders is. And we'll get into that a little bit. Plus, we'll hear later on in the show from Steve Spagnuolo and Matt Nagy, the coordinators for the Chiefs. When there's a Sunday game, the coordinators speak on Thursday. So we'll get Spags and Nagy's thoughts from the podium. They spoke earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. We'll play that for you a little bit later on in the show today. And of course, because it is a Thursday, that means we'll have a visit from Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mitch will join us at 5:25, as he does every Thursday here on the program. And we'll look forward to getting Mitch's insight into the Kansas City Chiefs and Raider Week. And I mentioned on yesterday's show, like Raider Week means a little less to some of the younger generations because the Raiders just haven't been that big a deal in close to 25 years. But you know who keeps that torch lit for Raider Week? Mitch Holthus, that's who. So if you are lacking a little bit of excitement for Raider Week, Mitch is going to get you in the spirit. You can guarantee that. When we have Mitch in on Raider Week, he's going to get you in the spirit of Raider Week. So that's coming up. Mitch Holthus' visit with us from our friends at Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. That's coming up at 5:25. Also joining us on the show today, Rick Peterson of TopSports.news, the local sports spotlight coming your way in about half an hour from now, probably a little less, bottom of this 3 o'clock hour, give or take. We'll get Pistol's thoughts on the upcoming Week 7 of the high school football season in the state of Kansas and everything else that's been going on. Tickets to state have been punched in tennis, girls tennis, and girls golf. And season's coming down the stretch, obviously, football and volleyball and cross country and all those other sports in the fall as well. We'll get Pistol's thoughts on Shawnee County High School sports and, of course, the Wash for Ichabod's coming up on the local sports spotlight. Plus, our typical shenanigans on the program. Sports headlines. We'll do either or over under. Another round of What Is Wrong With You. You know how we get down. Plus, our text line is open, 785-272-9429. YouTube chat wide open. Jump on the YouTube stream today. Watch with us. Watch live. Look at us while we say the words that we say, if you've never done it before. Because if you watch the show on YouTube, there is a live chat that is live during the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And you can hop on in that and say hello and interact with your fellow listeners to the show, in addition to interacting with me and the rest of the 580 Sports Talk crew. Hello to Andrew and Tyler and Mark in today, and look forward to hearing from more of you throughout the program. Hop in that live chat today over on the YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, no day like today, smash that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything but a click, and it makes us feel good to see the number go up. I owe you a keyword for the fall cash contest here on 580WIBW.com. We got 2 more days, today and tomorrow, of the fall cash contest. We're giving away $2,000 today. We're giving away $2,000 tomorrow. I sure hope one of you wins the $2,000 either today or tomorrow. Maybe one of you's already won the $2,000. That would be sick. Or I hope that's you. But if you want it to be you for today, you got to be listening for your keyword. Every hour, we give you a new keyword here on 580 WIBW. You go to our website, 580WIBW.com. You click the contest tab. You enter the keyword. You enter your information. Then you are registered for a chance to win. Think of it like buying a raffle ticket. We've had keywords, hourly keywords, every hour of the day. I'll give you 2 more before we sign off today in the 4 o'clock and the 5 o'clock hour. And you can enter the keyword and get registered to win. Once per keyword, but not once per day. You can register the next 3 hours if you want, if you haven't registered yet. Give yourself 3 bites at the apple to win that $2,000. Your 3 o'clock keyword for this Thursday, October 16th, is help. Help. It's what Geno Smith has been shouting behind that Las Vegas offensive line so far this season. Help. H-E-L-P. Help is the word. H-E-L-P. Help. Go enter help. 580WIBW.com, click the contest tab, and enter help into the keyword slot. And get yourself registered for a chance to win $2,000. So, No further word today on the status of Chiefs rookie left tackle Josh Simmons. You'll recall that he was a late add to the injury list on Monday, 2 Mondays ago against Jacksonville. Before that game, he was a late add to the injury list with an illness. And he played that night. And then the expectation was that he was going to play Sunday against the Lions on Sunday Night Football, and then he was not present. And the word at the time was he had gone back to California, where he's from, and the initial reporting was that it had to do with a family matter, but there was a suddenness to it that caught some of his teammates off guard. Again, that's been reported. That it was a bit surprising to find out that they were all congregating at Arrowhead Stadium, but their left tackle wouldn't be with them. He was added to the injury list, non-football related, didn't play. Jaylon Moore started in his place. Andy Reid yesterday says it's a matter that Brett Veach, the general manager for the Chiefs, is dealing with right now. Patrick Mahomes says that, like he does for all of his teammates, he's praying for Josh Simmons right now. So there's a lot of ambiguity. And I'll reiterate what I said on yesterday's program about this, because we played the comments from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in full. They included their comments regarding the Josh Simmons. I don't even know if situation is the right word for it, because I don't want to give it more or less gravity than it might deserve. But it's as good a word as we've got. So we'll go with situation. And I'll reiterate what I said about this yesterday. I said this real briefly in passing in yesterday's show, but I think it's worth saying again, because you go and you read the message boards, the blog comments, or the YouTube comments, and people are angry that starting left tackle for a team with Super Bowl aspirations is absent. I mean, not AWOL, because the team knows where he's at. Clearly, they know where he is. So he's not, hasn't absconded. He hasn't disappeared off the face of the earth, but he's not with the team and not playing, and it's not injury related. And that's frustrating for people, because we are used to everything being our business, all the way down to when a player gets treatment on a mild bout of soreness. Like Patrick Mahomes got some groin tightness, and they work on that for a week, and it's not a big deal, and it doesn't limit him in practice, but we know about it because they have to report it. We know every hangnail, every stub toe, every tweaked ankle or twisted back. We know all of this stuff. And we don't know what's happening with Josh Simmons. So when something isn't our business, it kind of sticks out. But I, again, want to reiterate this. I want to make this really clear. And maybe this is beneficial for you to hear. Maybe you already know this. But there are obviously people, I've cycled through the internet. I've cycled through social media. There are people that need to hear this, and maybe you're one of them. If whatever is going on with Josh Simmons were our business, it would be our business. We would already know. And the fact that we don't know means it ain't our business. And clearly, whatever is going on is serious enough that Simmons can't be with the team while whatever it is going on. And Simmons doesn't want it public, and the team doesn't want to share it. And that would indicate to me a level of gravity that it is both necessary and respectful to let somebody else handle it and let Josh Simmons be while he deals with whatever is going on. And speculation runs rampant at a time like this. And at some point, we'll need to know something, because the Chiefs can't go week to week with this in all likelihood. They may, if this is going to be a long-term thing that Josh Simmons is dealing with, then they could put him on injury reserve. But in the absence of clarity, you're just going to have to be okay with this not being our business. And this is why, if we can segue to the guys who are in the building, the guys who are practicing, the guys who are going to play Sunday against the Raiders, this is why Jaylon Moore is here. Not because the Chiefs could have predicted that Josh Simmons was going to miss time for an undisclosed reason. Remember, Josh Simmons wasn't a Chief when the Chiefs signed Jaylon Moore. The Chiefs had a plan to draft a left tackle in the 2025 draft. They were delighted when it ended up being Josh Simmons, but the plan was always to go get a guy at left tackle and for Jaylon Moore to be the fallback option. A highly paid, perhaps overqualified plan B, but a plan B all the same. So Jaylon Moore is here not because the Chiefs could have predicted that Josh Simmons would miss time, but because they couldn't have predicted that Josh Simmons would have been so dang good and so healthy that he would have been ready to take the job and run with it in the first place. If you've watched the Chiefs the last 2 seasons, you know that the floor for performance at left tackle had gotten so low that it had created problems for the entire offense. And most specifically, it created problems for Patrick Mahomes. There had to be a higher performance floor at left tackle to get this offense back into the groove. And the evidence is right in front of you. The evidence for that is how we have seen the Chiefs offense perform specifically since the second half of the Giants game. And if there was a difference in the level of trust that Patrick Mahomes had in Jaylon Moore relative to the level of trust that he has developed in a short time with Josh Simmons, it sure didn't show up in his performance on Sunday night, and it sure didn't show up in the offense's performance. Now, Jaylon Moore was not a stone wall. He was not an unbreachable barrier. There were a couple of reps where he got beat. He got beat by Aiden Hutchinson on a rep where Hutchinson got inside. Mahomes had to make him miss, and he did because he's Patrick Mahomes, and he does that. And there was the third down late in the game on what ended up being the game-clinching field goal drive where he was beaten for a third down sack. But by and large, Jaylon Moore held his own at left tackle. And he held his own against Aiden Hutchinson. Now he's got Max Crosby on deck. And he's not going to, they move guys around. You're going to see Crosby every single snap, but he's going to see some Max Crosby on Sunday. And if there is one guy capable of flipping Sunday's game on its ear by himself with his performance, a true game wrecker in every sense of that term, it is Max Crosby. But Moore didn't just hold up against the Lions and against Hutchinson. He held up on short notice on the same day that his wife gave birth. I don't know, those of you who have had children, I don't know how well you functioned on the day that your wife gave birth to any of your children. I can tell you from personal experience, that was a very difficult day to think about anything else but my wife and my child. So we learned a lot about Jaylon Moore's readiness and mental toughness to perform the way he performed in that spot on Sunday night. And to even play that well, because again, we're not sitting here talking, he was an A+, he was a 10 out of 10. Like, he played well. He played decently. Given everything, given the level of competition he was against, given the spotlight, given the circumstances, you'll take that 10 out of 10 times. You'll take that 10 out of 10. And I don't believe that there's any difference when it comes to the confidence level that 15 has in his left tackles. That's not to say there's not a quality difference. Like right now, you'd rather have Simmons out there. Simmons has been the better player. He's got a few more tools, physical tools that you feel like give him a chance for more upside, short and long term with his performance at left tackle. And the Chiefs will be better when he returns. But the backup being in isn't going to change how Mahomes and the offense operates. And you could not say that last year. You could not say that when the backup was Wanye Morris. And it's not personal, Wanye, but we saw him play, right? We understand. We understand why that presence at left tackle was so unacceptable that you had to move a potential Hall of Fame left guard to left tackle just to salvage something at the end of last season. This ain't that. And I believe that it shows that this offense is going to keep on ticking for however long Josh Simmons is not with the Chiefs. We hope it's not too much longer. We hope all is well with Josh Simmons. Obviously, I think everybody wishes him well and wishes him a speedy return, wishes him health, wishes him peace. But in the meantime, that $15 million a year swing tackle, that luxury purchase, it felt like a luxury, right? To have a third tackle on that kind of salary. Well, it's not luxury anymore. It's a need. And the Chiefs appear fortunate that Jaylon Moore is going to meet what this offense needs to keep firing the way that it's firing. We'll take our first time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, a telling stat about the Raiders that shows their biggest offensive weakness right now and why I believe the Chiefs can exploit it on Sunday. We got more Chiefs throughout the show today. We're going to hear from Nagy and Spags. We're going to hear from Mitch Holthus. He'll join us live at 5:25. Rick Peterson's coming up in about 10 minutes or so. 785-272-9429 is the text line. You can get at us in the YouTube chat as well. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. We are just getting started on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. .331 on 580 Sports Talk. Some breaking news during that segment from the world of college football. Monster contract extension for Curt Cignetti at Indiana. Shout out to his agent. Hey, do you want to deal with everybody in the world talking about your coach going to Penn State for the next 2 months? Or do you just want to take care of him right now? Give him a nice little pay raise. Good work for the agent. And good for Indiana football. We'll talk more about that in headlines in the 5 o'clock hour. That'll still be germane by then. So, I don't know how much Geno Smith you all have watched the last few years. I probably watched a little more than you, considering that he quarterbacked my favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks. And I probably watched more Seahawks football than A, is healthy, B, is recommended by the Surgeon General, C, than you do. And that's understandable. Anyway, I watched a lot of Geno Smith the last 3 years. And the thing about Geno Smith that made him good, and he was good in Seattle. He's not great. You weren't going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith, but he was good. You could win games with Geno Smith. You could make the playoffs. You could have a winning record with Geno Smith as your quarterback. The thing that made Geno good, made him productive, is his willingness to rip the ball down the field. Geno Smith is not shy about letting one go and taking a shot. And if it ends in an interception, well, okay. But he trusts his accuracy, trusts his arm, trusted he played with some really good wide receivers there in Seattle, trusted those guys to come up with some plays, and put up some good numbers for the years that he was Seattle's starting quarterback. He is not putting up the same kind of numbers in Las Vegas for a variety of reasons. Number one, he doesn't have a single receiver on that roster that's as good as DK Metcalf or Jackson Smith and Jigba. And his best pass-catching target, Brock Bowers, is hurt and has not played the last 2 games and doesn't look like he's going to play this Sunday either. So that's obviously a problem. The other big problem, though, what do these 5 names mean to you? Stone Forsythe, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, Jackson Powers Johnson, DJ Glaze. What do those 5 names mean to you? What are 5 people who've never been in my kitchen? Yeah, that's true. Also, that's the starting offensive line right now for the Las Vegas Raiders. DJ Glaze sounds like he does sets for like turntable sets at Dunkin' Donuts. And come get an iced coffee with and enjoy the musical stylings of DJ Glaze. Left tackle Stone Forsythe, he's another former Seahawk. Again, I have watched more Seahawks football than the majority of you. Take my word for it on this. Stone Forsythe might be the worst starting lineman currently to have a starting job in the NFL. He is terrible. And that's the left tackle right now. Colton Miller is their best offensive lineman. He's the one guy, he's kind of a bookend, makes the rest of it feel not so bad. He's got an ankle injury. He's on IR. He's not going to play on Sunday. So that's the offensive line. And this is a stat that I saw from Vic Tafur in The Athletic today that really, to me, speaks more about his trust in his offensive line than his confidence because he's thrown so many interceptions. Tafur credits this stat to the early troubles that Geno's had throwing the ball to the other team. I don't think that's the issue. I think Geno remains confident in his arm talent. I don't think he's confident in the ability of the guys in front of him to protect him. And as a result, this is the stat, Smith only attempted 1 pass beyond 10 air yards last week. So that means from where he stood to where the ball landed, he only attempted 1 pass where the ball traveled further than first down yardage. 1 pass beyond 10 air yards last week. That was the fewest for Smith in a single game in 9 years. So this goes back to when we did think of him as a turnover machine and not after his turn and his improvement that he showed in Seattle. He's never been this gun shy in the pocket. And I don't think it's confidence in his arm. I think it's confidence in the guys protecting him and probably in the guys catching it because Jacoby Myers has kind of decided he doesn't want to play for the Raiders anymore. He's on Operation Shutdown. Brock Bowers is out. Michael Mayer has not been the NFL player I expected he was going to be. I'm a bit surprised by that. But That is telling of a lot of things, but I think primarily it's telling of an offensive line that is stinky doo-doo. And if ever there was a week for the Chiefs pass rush to generate some sacks, to turn pressure into sacks, this feels like the week, because Geno will take a sack. That's a fact. He will take a sack. I didn't mean to rhyme. I'm a poet. I didn't even know it. So that is maybe, to me, the biggest reason, the primary reason for belief that the Chiefs can not only win Sunday, but win pretty big. Rick Peterson joins us next for the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by the great Rick Peterson of TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. Pistol joins us every Thursday at this time on the program to talk all things Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn University athletics. Again, check out his work at TopSports.news. Pistol, we got to own up to being wrong about the Shawnee Heights Seaman game last Friday night. We thought that was going to be a score fest. It was a 20-3 final score at Don Pierce Field at Seaman Stadium. One of the best Shawnee Heights defensive performances in years. Give big credit to Jason Swift's squad. That could be a season changer for them.
Yeah, hopefully they can build off that. But, yeah, I would have never thought that. I thought Shawnee Heights could, win that game, but I thought it might be a 60-55 game or something. So yeah, we were wrong, but great for Shawnee Heights.
You had you were at the Hayden game. All the points went with you. That was the problem. You had all the points over there for Hayden Holton. Big win for Hayden over Holton on Friday night in district play as Hayden remains undefeated. What has impressed you most about Bill Arnold's team this year so far?
Really about everything. I mean, offensively, Connor Hanekas had a great year. Kate Mitchell's very, very good. They got, Jackson McGiffrin. They got, defensively, I really like their linebacker core, and they really did a good job against a Holton team that's, known to be able to play ball control offense. And then another thing that sometimes I think people overlook, Hayden's got, in my mind, probably the best kicker in the state, and in Mason Becker. And, he hasn't missed an extra point, which coaches will tell you at the high school level, that's something in itself because, over the years, a lot of high schools have really lost a lot of games because they didn't have an effective kicker. Then he goes out and kicks a 40-yard field goal, and except for a couple, I think all of his kickoffs were touchbacks. So that just gives them another weapon to go with a good offense and a good defense.
Yeah, he's awfully impressive. I don't think he missed an extra point last year either. I would have to go back and look, but yeah, he's been Mr. Automatic with those PATs. No question about that. We're joined by Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. This is the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Another game performance of note from Week 6. Highland Park returns to the gridiron, and they do so with style, beating Atchison for the first time in Meadowlark Conference play. 42-18 was the final score in that one. And Pistol, what stood out to me in that game was that Highland Park really controlled the line of scrimmage, it felt like, for the better part of the night. And also defensively didn't give up those big home run plays that they've had trouble limiting opponents, particularly Atchison, to having in the last couple of years. What stood out to you from that game?
Well, I thought it was an impressive performance by Highland Park for a Highland Park team that was playing for the first time in 3 weeks. That's the thing that maybe stood out to me the most is they come out, took care of business after being off, and they did. They pretty much controlled that game, and it's a big, that's a big win for them. Because that's the first time Jermaine Monroe's team, like you said, has beaten Atchison. And they got another one coming up, not this week, but next week, another huge test against a Washington team that looks to be very, very good. But they're back on the right track.
And most certainly are. Looking ahead to Week 7 action, our 580 Preps game of the week going to take us out in the county to Silver Lake, a barn burner in Class 2A with Silver Lake and Osage City. The Eagles will be taking on Osage City at C.J. Hamilton Field. We'll have it for you right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 tomorrow night with the 7 o'clock kickoff. Silver Lake has really righted the ship after 2 losses to start the season. They've won 4 in a row, and for a team that's fielded some really explosive offenses, they're certainly capable of scoring. But the last 4 weeks, they're doing it with defense, Pistol. What has been the key to that defensive performance for them?
And I don't know if there is one key. Dane Johnson's been he's known for his work as a wide receiver, but he's also been their leading tackler about every year he's been there. So he kind of sets the tone for them. And then they got a good nucleus. I can't think of the kid's name right off the bat, but he had a really big individual performance on defense last week. And kind of set the stage. But, those 2 losses early were to very good teams, and now they're just taking care of business. This will be their best test, biggest test in a while, though.
Also, tomorrow night, big Centennial League game out on the road for Washburn Rural as they take on Junction City. Rural's having a very quiet 5-1 season so far. Not a lot of people, I think, statewide have noticed them in Class 6A yet, but they've got a chance to make people notice because they've got Junction City and Manhattan to wrap up their season. What are Steve Bueller's Chargers going to have to do to hang with the Blue Jays on the road tomorrow night?
I expect it to be a really good game. I think they can get that win, but it's always tough to win on the road, and it's tough to win against a good team, a good program year in, year out for Randall Zimmerman's Blue Jays. But I think as we go on, the Junior Blues are going to get more and more people's attention, and it's not the way everything's going right now. I think they should have a chance in both of these very tough games coming up.
Rick Peterson joining us for the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Rick Peterson's coverage can be read at TopSports.news of Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods. Let's shift gears on the high school front to girls tennis. The state tournament is this weekend. In fact, it starts tomorrow. Of the Shawnee County contingent, who will you be keeping the closest eye on this weekend?
Well, I'll be out watching Seaman, which is they're hosting at Crossover, and they've swept city, UKC, and regional titles. They were third last year at state, and they have two very good singles players to build around in Emma Sweeney and Molly Gorman, both state placers a year ago. So they got a chance. I mean, they got a chance. I don't know. I think their first goal is to get another trophy, which is top three, and then anything else that happens, I think, would be a bonus.
Girls golf state qualifiers were decided earlier this week with the regional championships across the state. This is where I got to shout out the Jeff West girls golf team. My father-in-law is an assistant coach, so I got to shout out their district championship here on the program today. But for the city and, again, county contingent, was it about what we expected to see from those local golfers?
Yeah, I think the teams that we expected to get in got in. Seaman, led by Elise Eckert, and then Washburn Rural had a really solid regional in 6A to place second. And then Hayden, I don't think played as well as they expect to play as the two-time defending state champs. But like Coach Duncan said, hey, all they wanted to do last week was, get to state, and then let's see what we can do this coming week when it matters the most.
Rick Peterson is our guest. We're talking local sports on the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk, Shawnee County's high school sports and the Washburn Ichabods. And let's pivot to the Bods, who suffered a tough loss to a very good Pitt State team on Saturday. And schedule just never lets up in the MIAA. It's Central Missouri on deck this Saturday. What does Zach Watkins have to do to keep the players kind of focused on the process through what's been a difficult stretch of the schedule?
Well, I think they just, again, and we've said it before, they just need to get that one thing, that one big break that could kind of turn the season around. And I think, they played back-to-back one-possession games against good Central Oklahoma and Kearney teams. And I think everybody knew it was going to be tough last week. That's just a really tough place to play. But I think they can compete on Saturday, and they just need to get some breaks, maybe get some people healthy. Ty Weber is back now, which I think will really help them. And just keep plugging.
You've also got some basketball content, Washburn Ichabod basketball content up at TopSports.news. We're getting closer and closer to the start of that season, so you've had a chance to catch up with the coaches there. Washburn men go to Lakeland, Florida for the Small College High School or Small College Hall of Fame Classic to open their season. That's in just a couple of weekends. The Ichabods have always tried to schedule tough in non-conference play. That's always been something that they've tried to do. How much does Brett Ballard think that this tournament that they're going to be in to start the season, this event that they're going to be in to start the season, will benefit them in the long haul, the level of competition they're going to play against out there in Florida?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said, that they always like to schedule tough. And in this first event, they're going to play two teams that were in the NCAA tournament last year, including one, along with Washburn, was in the national semifinals. And he said it. He said, this will tell us a lot about where you're at and, where you need to go from there. I applaud him for that. Getting scheduling cupcakes early, I don't think it does you any good when it gets to conference time and playoff time. So right away they're going to get tested.
Last thing for you, Pistol. This is by request from the text line. Texter from the 785. It's not a Shawnee County game, but it's probably the biggest high school football game in the state this weekend. Axtell or Hanover? Who you got?
Well, I think it will be. I was talking to Brent Maycock yesterday, and he's going to that game, and I think it could be a heck of a game. But until, as a betting man, until somebody knocks off Axtell, you got to go with Axtell.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that matchup. I mean, Hanover, they've got just every year athletes on athletes, but Axtell hasn't lost since Hector was a pup. I mean, it's been forever since those kids lose. I'm not sure they know how. So, it's really hard to pick against the team. What was it, 54 game winning streak now for the Eagles?
I think so. These kids that are playing for them now were little kids when they lost. So.
Been a long time for sure. Rick Peterson covers all things Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn-Ichabod athletics for TopSports.news, and he joins us every Thursday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol, it is always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week.
Look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson. We will step aside for a break, come back, and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. .580 Sports Talk, wrapping up this first of 3 hours today. Our thanks again to Rick Peterson, TopSports.news, for joining us for the local sports spotlight. Always great to talk to Pistol. And again, want to remind you, we teased it a little bit there during that segment. Our 580 Preps Game of the Week tomorrow night here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 takes us to C.J. Hamilton Field. The Silver Lake Eagles and Osage City going to battle in 2A District 3 action. Oh, my God. I swear I can speak English. Osage City. I got to be really careful with that one. If I'm being tongue-tied, I got to really space those two words out so I don't get in trouble. Osage City, 6-0, dominant, over 50 points per game, and last year beat Silver Lake for the first time since 1993. But the Eagles, after an 0-2 start, have won 4 in a row. They're doing it with defense. They have allowed less than 10 points in each of their last 4 games. So holding their last 4 opponents into the single digits and starting to get their offense going as well behind their freshman quarterback, Kip Kruger. Going to be an awesome game. We can't wait to bring it to you. Myself, Greg Akagi, Spencer Dupuis will be on the call. Our pregame coverage will start at 6:06 tomorrow night after the news and the weather with the 580 Preps Coaches Club. You'll hear from all of the city head coaches who play all of their games tomorrow night. No Thursday action in the capital city tomorrow, all Friday games. So you'll hear from all of the city head coaches, and then we'll take it live from C.J. Hamilton Field. You'll hear from Andrew Gantenbein, the head coach of Osage City, and Logan Pegram, the head coach at Silver Lake, taking us up to the kickoff between the red and white and the maroon and gold. It's going to be an awesome, awesome game. And we're really excited to bring it to you as our 580 Preps game of the week. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, some more thoughts about the upcoming NFL trade deadline. It falls at a convenient time for the Chiefs going into their bye week. Do the Chiefs need to make a move? Should they make a move? How big a move? And what position might be most prudent at which to make a move? Plus, we'll hear from Matt Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo, and we'll have What Is Wrong With You as well. That's all coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk on WIBW. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. So glad you're along for the journey today here on 580 Sports Talk on the sports voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube and WIBW News on Facebook. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock. Then we'll have a little 580 Sports Talk overtime as well. So we'll look forward to doing a little overtime today. We got Thursday night football from Westwood One coming up tonight as the NFL's week number 7 gets underway with the Steelers and the Bengals. They're calling it the Senior Bowl with old man Aaron Rodgers and old man Joe Flacco. They're older than me, so I can say that.
The Unk Bowl.
I don't believe that I will ever see, I mentioned this on yesterday's show, in my life, a matchup of quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks that are older than me. This is going to be probably the last one. And I cannot tell you how depressing I find that. Aaron Rodgers is 42 years old. How old is old Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco is 40. Yep, I'm 39.
Well, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
It works out.
So, yeah, they're both older than me. I can watch that and go, get those ancient creatures off the field. Boo. Boo. I'm not going to boo. I'm probably not going to watch the game. I'll be completely honest with you. I'll probably watch baseball tonight, be honest. If I get to watch any sports.
Yeah, I'm not turning on the prime for that. I'm going to watch some outrageously dumb things that happen that people get 911 calls for on 911 Nashville. Sorry.
Oh, so you started watching the new 911.
Yes. There was a just scene that there was a 911 call that there's no way in the world a little girl is getting picked up by a kite. I'm sorry. It's not happening, folks. I'm sorry if I ruined part of the episode for you. It's not happening. There's no way in a real world situation a little girl turning 4 or 5 is going to get swept up by a kite on a really windy day. Like, no, unless you have an industrial sized, like, if it's like something that's flying in the Thanksgiving Day parade, maybe. But not a regular normal kite. Come on, Hollywood.
You heard it here first. Spencer Dupuis' review of 911 Nashville.
Also, why are we going to space in 911 regular? I don't get it.
911 regular? 911 OG?
Yeah, OG 911. Why?
I don't know why they're going to space, other than to say that Ryan Murphy is a television terrorist.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy, what are you doing? At this point, I'm watching that show just to laugh at how dumb these scenarios are.
Yeah, no, I think there are a lot of people.
I prefer Dick Wolf's shows over Ryan Murphy's crime shows.
Not quite a hate watch, but something else entirely. Anyhow, you've got a lot of entertainment options. We say all that to say this. There are plenty of entertainment options for your Thursday night that do not include Joe Flacco trying to keep himself upright behind one of the worst offensive lines of football against the Steeler pass rush. But if you want to hear it, it's right here on your home for Thursday Night Football. 580 WIBW FM 104.9. We've got the Westwood One broadcast. Pregame starts at 6:30, so we'll have a little 580 Sports Talk overtime before that. Still to come this hour, we're going to hear from Steve Spagnuolo and Matt Nagy, the Chiefs defensive and offensive coordinators, speaking to the media as they do every Thursday when the Chiefs play on Sunday. We've also got another round of What Is Wrong With You, trying once again to take down our Monday champion, the gentleman that blew a .337 at Aggie Park at Texas A&M and had a water jug of whiskey on him. A water jug. One of those Coleman joints. Might have been manufactured in Wichita. They got a Coleman plant down there.
I did not know that.
And now you know.
Yeah, the more I know.
We still got headlines. We still got Mitch Holthus going to join us at 5:25 today as well. So lots more to come here on 580 Sports Talk. We want you to be a part of it. Hop on into the live chat on our YouTube stream. Again, the name of the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe if you have not yet. Check out the YouTube live stream, and there is a live chat where you can interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts throughout the program. One more time, the name of that YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the show. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That is 785-272-9429. How about a fall cash keyword for the hour? The fall cash contest continues through tomorrow on 580WIBW.com. We're giving away $2,000 every weekday, which means we got $2,000 to give away today. And to enter for a chance to win, you've got to go enter the hourly keywords. We've got a keyword for this hour that you can go enter right now. 580WIBW.com. You can enter this keyword up through the end of this 4 o'clock Central Time hour. The word of the hour is power. Power. P-O-W-E-R. Power. As in, we do not have the power to choose who wins the $2,000 each day. But you have the power within you to go and enter to win that $2,000. Go to 580WIBW.com, click the contest tab, and enter this hour the keyword power, P-O-W-E-R, power, and enter your information to get registered for your chance to win 2 G's from your pals at 580WIBW.com.
Random question.
Okay.
Have you ever been back in your younger days where you didn't have a family to be responsible for?
Sure.
That's what I mean. Not like that you're old.
Understood. Yes.
Have you ever been to a power hour at a bar where everything's like half price for 1 hour?
No. I have not been.
Those are some interesting times.
No, you have done the power hour in a dorm room where you do a drink. You take a drink of something every minute of the hour. I was only ever brave enough to do it with beer. But yeah, you take 1 sip a minute and you let it rip with that sip. You're not, a little baby bird sip or anything. Some people would do it with harder alcohol. I was never. I was too chicken to do that.
Have you ever?
I saw what that did to people.
Have you ever played Thunderstruck?
No.
Where you drink every thunder?
No.
Oh, that was a fun game.
We
did that at Marshall.
That is a fun game. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I did that big time at Marshall.
You guys must have been more creative than us at DePaul University. Smaller school, fewer heads to come up with such ideas.
All right, now back to sports.
Anyway, yeah, let's do that, shall we? We talked a little bit yesterday about what the Chiefs might do at the trade deadline. And the trade deadline this year is actually at a really good time for the Chiefs. It's November 4th. So it's right at the midway point of the season, and it's right when the Chiefs have their bye. So theoretically, they can come out of the Bills game and make a move and have a week and a half to integrate a new player into their team, into their system, and have them, whoever it might be, hit the ground running starting after their bye week. So it's a good time for the Chiefs. And really, after the Bills game is going to be a good time anyway for Brett Veach to really be able to take stock of this roster. What do you have? What do you not have? What do you need? How do you stack up against, frankly, right now, what feels like the greatest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC? You're going to know. That's all going to be laid bare, and then 48 hours later, less than 48 hours, give or take 48 hours, will be the trade deadline. So I am of the mind that the Chiefs are going to do something to add to their roster. We talked briefly yesterday based on some rumblings from Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziani of ESPN.com about possibly available running backs. I think it is less imperative that the Chiefs add depth at that position than it was a month ago. But if you can go get a starting caliber running back, if you can go get Breece Hall, for instance, I think that's a move that the Chiefs ought to consider. Where do you come down on that, Spencer? Because you weren't on yet when we were talking about this yesterday. Do you still think the Chiefs need to add a depth piece at running back, or do you think that they are probably okay with the mix they have unless they can upgrade at the top of the depth chart?
I would say unless they can upgrade at the top of the depth chart, there's really nothing there to gain, because unless you, I don't know. Especially the way that we've seen the improvement from Pacheco when it comes to little bunch runs here and there. I think that have been way more helpful over the last few weeks than have been over the first couple of weeks. I don't think you're getting much more than that. And I think that is because of the way the offense is set up for the Chiefs and how the focus is more on the pass, obviously, with, one of the best, if not the best quarterback when all things all said and done for Patrick Mahomes. So you're not really going to have a huge running game. I mean, if they went out and got Breece Hall, then it'd be a legit guy who could maybe be 100-yard for every few game rusher for the Chiefs, which they haven't had in a long time. So unless you're getting a guy like that or a bigger upgrade, then there's no point.
We were pretty insistent as a group that this was a team that maybe needed a third down back, like a Samaje Perine type. They could probably go get actual Samaje Perine.
Yeah, I mean, they could. What's he doing wherever he signed?
Yeah, he was back with Cincinnati, 6 games, 15 carries, and 6 receptions on 8 targets.
Bro,
so
if they ran it back with him and trade him for Elijah Mitchell.
I mean, I don't even think you need to do that. Like a conditional 7th round pick for Perine, because they've got Chase Brown's their feature back. They've got Taj Brooks on the roster. I don't know who's on their practice squad or anything that they would promote or whatever. They don't seem to love Taj Brooks. They've only given him 5 carries in 6 games. So it's really been just the Chase Brown show. But the Bengals are probably going to be open for business, right? They're going to have to, especially if they lose to the Steelers tonight, they're going to have to look in the mirror and say, okay, this isn't happening. We can wait for Joe Burrow, but by the time he gets back, it's going to be too late to make anything out of this season.
Yeah.
They've given up 183 points in 6 games, 30.5 points a game. That got nothing to do with Joe Burrow. So they got problems he can't fix, which we knew going into the season. But maybe that could be a move I could see the Chiefs making, because we know how much they love to bring back guys that they have experience with. But yeah, I think that the Chiefs are trusting Pacheco more and view him as their clear-cut running back number 1 right now. And unless they can upgrade on him, I don't think there's anybody who's going to come in and take a bunch of snaps, because I think that the roles for the rest of the depth chart, Kareem Hunt and Rashard Smith, are pretty well defined. And right now, I'm not sure I want anybody taking snaps from Rashard Smith, as odd as that is to say, because it's not like he's getting a lot of snaps, but I like what he's doing in those snaps. I like the way that he's growing in those snaps. So I don't necessarily think I want anybody taking snaps from Rashard Smith. So running back, I don't know about for the Chiefs.
I have an assertion here. Did Veach just completely botch getting a running back? Is Elijah Mitchell just not worth a dang, and he's just going to be an inactive guy for all 17 games. I don't understand. Are you going to give him a legit shot?
Obviously not. I think if we were going to see it, we would have seen it.
Which is quite ridiculous. Just cut the man.
Well, he feels like injury insurance at this point. Obviously, it doesn't look great that he can't get on, not even on the field, on active. They don't dress him for games. But it's a piece that if you lose Pacheco or Hunt or Smith, then it's somebody you can plug in who knows the offense. You don't have to teach them new offense or anything like that. I don't know. I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate. I didn't like the signing. I didn't think he was going to make the team. I'm surprised that he stuck as long as he has. But I'm guessing that the logic behind it is probably, you can do a lot worse at running back 4 than a guy who's had the level of success that he's had in the league, and somebody who's been around for training camp, been around for the summer, knows the offense. And if you had to plug somebody in an emergency, he'd be more capable than signing a street free agent, which they had to do last year with Tyreek Hill. But going back to the trade deadline, I think the only place the Chiefs would really look to add would be on the defensive line. I think that they will have some pause about making an addition just for the sake of making an addition at defensive end, because they did that last year with Joshua Uche. Speaking of guys who could never get on the field, they got him and they didn't know what to do with him. That is one of these stranger moves that has happened in the Brett Veach era, and it looks all the more strange now that Uche is in Philadelphia and playing rotationally, playing pretty regularly. He doesn't have a sack for them this year. He might just not be that good, but he's playing and has a role there in Philadelphia, and he never found a role with Kansas City in a way that you would have expected. They would have known what the role was going to be for a guy that they traded an asset, even a minor one, to go and get. So here are my 2 questions about the defensive line for the Chiefs. Number 1, could they stand to add at defensive tackle? Chris Jones played 80% of the snaps against the Lions last week. That's a lot of snaps for a 300-plus pound defensive tackle in his 30s to play. That's a big snap load. And it's fairly typical for Jones. He played 83% of the snaps last season. He's played 82% of the snaps so far this year. But back in his 20s, he was playing less than 70% of the snaps some years. Only in the last 4 seasons have we seen him hit the 80% of the snaps benchmark. 80% in 2022, then 73% in 2023, 83% last year, and 82% of the snaps so far in the first 6 games this year. Omar Norman-Lott had the injury setback in camp. He only played 20% of the snaps last week. Clearly, they're easing him along. He's a young player. They like him. He's had a little bit of impact, but they're easing him in, which is understandable. Derek Nottie, this is the one that's odd to me. Derek Nottie was a guy that they didn't want and intentionally didn't bring back. And now not only is he back, he's playing 35% of the snaps. Yeah. He played close to 50% of the snaps against the Lions. And I understand that from the standpoint of he's your defensive tackle in the base defense right now. He is your, I don't know if you call him the one tech or just your nose tackle, whatever terminology you want to use, that he's going to play in rundowns. That was always his role with Kansas City. But he had fallen out of favor so much so last season that he only played 20% of the snaps. And then the Chiefs didn't re-sign him. And then late in camp, they bring him back, and now he's playing 35, 40% of the snaps every game. So what that tells me is that they could stand to upgrade, because I don't trust Jerry Tillery to make much of an impact. He's not doing much of anything at all. Norman Lott's still a work in progress. Nottie could certainly be improved upon. Chris Jones today openly said, I want Mike Pennell back. Bring my brother back. Somebody asked him about Mike Pennell. It didn't come out of the blue. Yeah. But somebody asked him a question about Mike Pennell. He said, yeah, hopefully we can bring my brother back. So clearly there's still some fondness in that locker room for Mike Pennell, even if Pennell maybe doesn't have a lot of love in his heart for the Chiefs front office right now. But what if they could go get a guy, throw a name out there that Pro Football Focus threw out as a possible trade candidate? What if they could go get a guy like Calais Campbell? Calais Campbell's playing for the Arizona Cardinals right now. He's got 3 sacks in 6 games. The Cardinals are not particularly good. They are 2-4. They're going the wrong direction. They're probably going to lose to Green Bay on Sunday. That's going to put them at 2-5. Then they hit the bye. Then they go to Dallas. Maybe they could look at that Dallas game as being a swing game in their season and think, okay, if we go to Dallas and win, we're 3-5, still a lot of year left. We're not going to bail on our coach and our quarterback or blah, blah, blah. But if they're being realistic about it, they are 2-4. They've lost 4 in a row. The 2 games they won were 1-score wins over bad teams, the Saints and the Panthers. They are not real contenders in an NFC West where it looks like everybody else is actually either like some level of good, right? Some variation of good between the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks. What if they were willing to move off of Campbell, who is 39 years old?
I was about to say, this would be like a ring chasing thing.
He is 21 days older than me. Born September 1st of 1986. And he's a Denver guy, too. I bet you didn't know that. Denver South High School. What if they could go get a guy like that and pair him, somebody who is probably rotational at this point in his career, but isn't that a substantial upgrade over Derek Nottie and Jerry Tillery?
I would agree. And if he does want a ring, maybe you come here. I think there's a reason why he re-signed with the Arizona Cardinals. He was there 8+ seasons.
Yeah.
I think he's going to hang it up after this year. He wanted to sign back with his former team.
Well, what if his former team comes to Calais Campbell and says, hey, what if we give you one more crack at a ring? What if we give you one more crack at the Super Bowl ring that has, to this point, eluded Calais Campbell? He has played all these years, 18 seasons, 113.5 sacks, been an All-Pro 3 times. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame personally. And the only thing missing is a Super Bowl ring on his finger. I don't think he'd say no to that. Maybe he would. Not everybody is motivated by the same things. But that's an interesting thought to me.
Yeah.
Is adding a guy with his pedigree, with his ability, and who might be willing to accept a ring-chasing role. The other question about the defensive line, what if they make a big swing? Bill Barnwell had a list today of theoretical trades at ESPN.com, and it included the Lions going all in with trades for both Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, who's out tonight, by the way. He's dealing with an injury, not going to play for the Bengals against the Steelers, so they're in even more trouble.
Yeah.
And Jaylon Phillips of the Dolphins, who was playing really well, and then remember he had that Achilles tear in the Black Friday game 2 seasons ago, and is just now kind of starting to return to form, but he's out of contract after this season. What if the Chiefs made a move for one of those guys? Because if you go get an edge, then you relegate Charles Omenihu to more of a rotational role. And I think he's better served as a rotational guy than an every down guy who can kick inside and help Chris Jones rush the passer. You can move him all over the lot instead of having him be your bookend defensive end with George Karlaftis. The proposed trade by Barnwell was Jaylon Phillips and a 7th round pick to the Lions for a 4th round pick. If you're the Chiefs, I would do that. I would trade a 4th for Jaylon Phillips.
Yeah.
I would add to that room. Like, you're not getting a lot from Mike Dana right now. You're not getting, great production from Ashton Gelati. You're not really getting any production from him. Good effort, growth, stuff you'd like to see from a rookie, but you're not getting production from him. You can get production. You can get pressure from Jaylon Phillips. Like, I would make that call because the Dolphins are headed the wrong direction. That's going to be a seller. I'd be willing to do that. I would be willing to take a bigger swing and go get a starting caliber player. To me, number one, you can never have too many guys who can rush the passer. Of course, we said the same thing last year when they made the Uche trade. Turned out he couldn't really rush the passer, at least not in any way that the Chiefs were comfortable with him doing. But you can never have too many of those guys. And I think they get more out of Omenihu. Like, you get more out of Omenihu asking him to do less. I feel like he's one of those guys where you get more from him the less you ask him to do.
Yeah.
A thought from the YouTube comments. Andrew says, I would rather look safety help over defensive line. I got to push back on that. I disagree completely. I think the Chiefs are fine at safety. I think Shamari Connor obviously has his deficiencies. He's not great in man coverage. But as part of that safety trio with Brian Cook and Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook is playing great. He is playing great football. So you get those 3 guys I think are playing really well. Chris Roland Wallace is your 4th safety. I think that's pretty good. I think they're set at safety. I don't think that there's a needle mover there that would make me make a call on that. So I would push back. I think defensive line to be the more of the area for need right now, given the lack of productivity from the 4-man rush the Chiefs have gotten. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll hear from Steve Spagnuolo and Matt Nagy in a little bit, but we got What Is Wrong With You next on the program. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? Two new stories competing today on the program. Our current weekly champion, our winner from Monday, pimento cheese and a whole lot of whiskey. We've called it. Very creative name. The gentleman who was found intoxicated in College Station, Texas at Aggie Park by Texas A&M police with a water jug full of whiskey and a pimento cheese sandwich. His BAC 337.
Are you going to do it again?
That man, like, I feel like if you wiped a handkerchief across his forehead, it would work the same on your hands as one of those like alcohol wipes.
Yeah. I just meant, were you going to talk about it being higher?
There was only one 300 hitter in the National League this season. If this guy had been in the National League, there would have been two. Two new stories today. I'm going first. We got a fraud story. We're going to, this is El Dorado County in, where am I? I guess I'm in California here. Yeah, I'm in the Sacramento area. I'm in Northern California, El Dorado County. William Matthew Ames was sentenced to 8 years in prison after being found guilty of 3 counts of fraud in the offering of a security and 3 counts of grand theft by pretense. According to the district attorney's office, sentencing enhancements on some of those charges added a year to the sentence and required that it be served in a state prison. So he's doing state time for this. During the trial, evidence showed that Ames operated a sophisticated financial scheme through which he solicited dozens of El Dorado County. I think it's El Dorado County out there. We're the weird ones in Kansas. We say El Dorado. El Dorado County residents to invest by making untrue statements of material fact to include participation or induce participation. In court, officials said Ames supported his solicitations by drafting contracts and representing that the invested funds would be used to market new products, conduct research and development, and that would allow the cost to be covered with equipment, materials, and tooling. Instead, Ames spent all the money on himself. So he stole money from these people. To what end? Just, go out for burgers.
Yeah.
Keep my fridge stocked, fix my car. Just spend all that money on himself. Say, nah, you're going to invest with me. Some people say, I'll bet on myself. I'm going to bet on myself with other people's money. That's what old William Matthew Ames did here. Very simple fraud story. He had all these people thinking that they were investing with him, and they were investing in his lifestyle because he spent all the money on himself. What is your story today?
Yeah, we're going to go back to Florida. A Lake County man is facing charges after deputies say he shot a woman after getting into a fight following an invitation to come over to her house and play a card game. According to an affidavit, the woman's husband tackled the subject.
Man, I just saw the mugshot. Holy Moses, I could have done without that.
Yeah.
So
you can put it up.
No, absolutely not. No, I saw it, so y'all didn't have to. Goodness gracious.
According to an affidavit, the woman's husband tackled the subject, later identified as 76-year-old Michael Phillips, to the ground and beat him. Deputies responded to the scene just after 7 p.m. for reports of a disturbance at a home in Lake County. Both the woman and Phillips were transported to Orlando Regional Medical Center. The woman for a gun-related injury to her forearm, and Phillips for facial trauma believed to have occurred during a fight with the woman's husband. According to the official affidavit, Phillips arrived at the home claiming the woman had invited him over for a card game. Witnesses confirmed he was allowed to enter the carport area before the altercation began. According to the arrest report, Phillips turned to the woman and called her the C word.
Yeesh.
And then pulled a gun out of his pocket and shot her in the arm. The witness then called the woman's husband, who came out to the carport and tackled him to the ground and beat him
to sleep. This man took a savage whooping. Man.
Yes.
His face is purple. He looks like Grimace.
Yeah, he does. Very bad. It remains unclear what Phillips' motive was for allegedly attacking the woman. When asked why he pulled out a gun and shot her, he responded to detectives that, quote, he had questions and believed that was the only way he would get answers, end quote, based upon the statements. And there had a prior acquaintance with the two at the residence, and he was invited to play cards. However, things shifted. The gun was later collected for evidence. He is charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The state attorney's office is now reviewing the case.
Listen, you shoot my wife and call her the C word, you're lucky if all I do is leave you with a purple face, a swollen face.
Yeah, you're lucky that we're able to say this on What Is Wrong With You.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that one wins today, but I prefer the more lighthearted 337 blood alcohol content to advance.
I'd love to find out who that guy is and see if he's alive today.
Yeah, no kidding. That'll continue on as our What Is Wrong With You winner. We got more Chiefs. We'll hear from Nagy and Spags next on 580 Sports Talk. After a brief discussion, we've decided to play Steve Spagnuolo's comments first. He usually goes first at the podium on Thursdays. Anyway, we're going to hear from both Chiefs coordinators this segment. First up, let's hear from Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator.
Yeah, listen, we're on obviously the Raiders, and it's a big week. It's a rival week, so we're fired up about that, and another home game, which is good.
Steve, yesterday Drew talked about just making adjustments after that first drive. It seems like that's been a consistent thing with you guys. Is that based on what you're seeing, but also, like, I assume you got to have the guys that can sort of.
Yeah, I would put it right back on them, Sam. Like we're very fortunate, we being the whole defensive staff, in that we have real cerebral guys. I mean, Drew's right up there, Nick. I mean, they come over, they see things, feel things, hear things out there that I can't hear, and they're always relaying it. And then and Brendan and Joe and Dave and Matt and all the coaches they kind of get together. We did a good job with that. I mean, we kind of hang our hat on that, hope to do it at every game, because all these teams that script these, and then what I remember from the players, I thought Trent McDuffie, he almost stopped it, but he was out there by himself. There was something else that should have happened defensively, and we got that all squared away. But I thought the effort he gave to almost get that thing defended. I mean, Goff did a great job getting in there. But, listen, I was happy that we were very fortunate on that play that it went that way, and it resulted in a field goal instead of a touchdown.
Was your sideline hollering out to them, hey, check this, or did they kind of figure it out?
From my standpoint, I remember them, they just figured it out. That's the way I remember it. I couldn't tell you if anybody else on the back was saying, hey, that's a penalty. But I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Steve, yesterday Drew Tranquil mentioned Joe Cohen's run meetings. Can you talk about how those have really kind of set the stage for the week in defending the run?
Yeah, we every coach on our staff has an area. Joe's is the run game. Brendan on the same day does play action pass and drop back pass on first and second down. Dave Merritt third down, Matt red zone, and everybody. Rod's involved in all that, but Joe kicks it off. Joe's got some energy to him. So, but I think the credit really goes to the players get dialed in right from the beginning on Wednesday morning, because we always begin, no matter what team we're facing, with stopping the run. I say it all the time. If they're two-dimensional or can be two-dimensional, that's tough on us. So let's try to make it a one-dimensional game.
Where's you seeing growth in the pass rush when you bring 4 or less?
Growth? Yeah.
You evaluate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought as the game, I think Andy might have mentioned this, but as the game wore on, and this, because I thought Detroit did a good job early, where we didn't get some pressure. They decided that one drive where they were just going to throw it, and they had some success. And, he maybe had a little more time than we really wanted. But I thought as the game got rolling and our guys got used to who they were going against, I thought it got better. So hopefully it'll keep going like that. Hopefully we can begin that way.
How much of that was you talk about complementary football, and obviously you guys are getting stops and getting them off the field. Andy can be maybe a little more conservative or put back, but when the offense gets going, and then you get that, you basically got a double score. We love to be in that mode all the time. It does make a huge difference. I call it a little bit differently. I think the guys on defense, they think a little bit differently, and they should. And most teams offensively, when they get in, down 2 possessions, certainly down 3 possessions, you're going to see a lot more passes. And I think our guys can pin their ears back and play it as such. And again, it goes back to that's headed toward the one-dimensional. And that's a team thing. It's complementary football, just like you said, Sir.
Last couple, we'll go here in midnight.
When it comes to Shamari and Brian, they had mentioned both just the communication at the beginning, but now it's progressed.
Yeah.
And how do you see it from your eyes, and how they progressed back there to not only fix communication, but play pretty decent?
Yeah, I think both those guys had really good, solid games. I mean, Brian tackled well. Shamari always tackles well. He had a bunch of tackles, right? And listen, I know you asked, Soren, I think you might have asked me last week about Noel Williams not playing a lot, and it was matchups and the whole thing. And this particular game was different. And where I'm going with it is it forces Chamari to play in two different spots. He plays a nickel, then he goes back there, and he plays safety. So for him to be able to do that and work with Brian says a lot about Chamari. And we value him and the fact that we can do both things with him. But I thought both those guys communicated and played really well in the game.
In that tackle spot next to Chris, especially, how do you feel like Derek has been kind of handling that since he came back?
Yeah, I rely heavily on Derek with regards to I trust him. I mean, he knows what we're doing. I know he's going to be where he's supposed to be, and he handles his gap. And now we don't put Derek in the rush to passer because that's not his. But I think for what we're asking him to do, I think he's done a solid job for us. And we need that from those inside guys. I mean, you guys see it during the game. I mean, Chris can't be out there every down. So at some point, Joe's got to give him a break. And then the next two guys that go in there got to kind of hold the fort down until Chris gets back in there.
So those were Steve Spagnuolo's comments from earlier today. Matt Nagy later on was at the podium. Here's the Chiefs offensive coordinator.
You bring a team together, okay, you don't always know how it's all going to come together, but these receivers really seem to like each other.
Yeah.
Have you sensed that? Have you noticed that this?
I really have. It's a really cool, everyone throws around the word culture. It's like the relationships that these guys have built. Obviously winning helps, but this has gone back to OTAs and then training camp where it started. And it's something that's special. We've talked about it in the last couple of weeks, what these guys have done in that wide receiver room. There's only one football. And so statistically, these guys are going to have a certain amount of plays or catches, for example, or touchdowns. You look at a guy like Thornton last week, he didn't have a catch. So important to this offense and what he's done. He's a team player, great kid. And the guys are just embracing that, and we're having fun. It's selfless football. And it's every day. It's not just pick and choose. And I think that's just a credit to those players for embracing that, understanding it. And then when you win, it certainly makes it a ton of fun.
What will it mean to inject Rasheed into what you guys have going on?
So Rasheed, his growth from rookie year to last year, unfortunately getting hurt, to now this year, I think the word is just exciting for the optimistic. The kid has done so much on and off the field to better himself, both as a person and a player. And I think you feel that and see that with the love and the friendship that these guys have internally. You see that, you feel it. So, I have to get goosebumps just thinking about when he goes out there and what he does to this offense. And there's an excitement that you have. You got to you remember now he hasn't played for a little while. So there's a little bit of some realness to it too. But that's the beauty of what Brett Veach and Coach Reed have done with the depth that we have in this offense. And, I think it's been well stated that there haven't been a whole lot of plays or games that the three of those guys have played together, and now we get a chance to do that.
Matt, with a player like Max Crosby, how mindful do you have to be of that in your play calling, and how do you approach that?
You have to. And in the offseason, the Kelsey brothers, and they did that little deal, that interview with me. They asked me, who's one of the most important defensive or toughest defensive players that you go against. And, Max Crosby's right there. So anytime, you're talking about a ton of players and somebody that just does he goes 100% of the time, all the time, and it's relentless. And so he's a game changer. He can affect the game. And so just a ton of respect. And his growth as a football player, which is where I see him most, that's the part where he wants to grow on how to learn and grow on how to run a sail route or a corner route or a quick, post route, 5-step, little things like that are first world problems for everybody else. For him, it's something that he can keep growing with. So I love where he's at, and kid has a smile on his face every day, and he's ready to rock and roll.
Matt, with the receiving depth and the way the line seems to have been coming together, what are you seeing in Patrick's level of just confidence and trust in everything around him?
It's on another level. The trust, that trust is powerful. You got to have that. you want to be able to take shots downfield. Well, you can't do that if you don't have protection. You want to be able to take shots downfield. You got to have the guys that together can attack a defense. So you put that together, and then you put Patrick back there, and these guys are they're executing at a high level right now. And so as a coach, that's fun to be able to come in here on a Monday and put together and show them how we're improving. We're creating this identity. And, I just go back to eliminating those penalties. When we don't beat ourselves and just stay ahead of the sticks, we can do good things. But consistency, you have to be able to do that every week, and you can never get complacent. So those two words, I think, go hand in hand. And if we do that, we stick together, we keep that edge, it can be a special, special year.
Do you think it's fair to say that Patrick's comfort and trust is, higher than it's been in a while with everything around him?
100%. 100%.
Last three, start with Sam.
Now, with Jaylon Moore, can you just describe what the difficulty of that assignment of learning that late that he's going to play and maybe not gotten all the first team reps during the week and plugging in there?
Right. Well, I'd say two things. So number one, the good thing about him coming here is that he does have experience. Number two, he's mentally strong, so he's always prepared, knowing that he's that guy at any moment that can go in there. And then the third part, too, is Coach Heck does a great job of being able to rotate guys in practice. And so you throw all those three together, and then all of a sudden you get kind of a short notice, quick deal that, hey, you're going to start and play against one of the best defensive ends in the game. What a credit to him. And he just stayed true and time tested. And I think it was a pretty cool moment after the game when he broke down the huddle. The huddle was pretty cool.
What?
Your name's been associated with the Tennessee Titans job. Not the first time that your name's been associated with those jobs. What do you do with that?
I'd say, you start off with, for me, like you just said, I've been through this situation before, and I think it's very, very important that knowing that, you got to figure out ways how to navigate it. And so every coach is a little bit different on how they do that. And for me, going through it before, what I've learned is that you want to make sure that you are preparing the right way. And when you prepare, that's in the off season. So that said, it's very, very important that you stay in the moment and you don't lose focus on anything else. And it's the social media world right now can get crazy, and there can be a lot of things said, but it's only fair to your peers, your players, coaches, et cetera, that you stay true to them, you stay in the moment. And then when the time does come, you look forward to it, but the time's not right now. So I'm all, what we have going on right now in this building, and I've been here for going into 9 years, 5 and now 4. It's something that's different in a good way. And so I love being a part of it. I love coming here, being with these guys every day. And man, it's just awesome.
Matt, you did prepare for it in the off season, like this is something.
Yeah. I think that's important to do.
Coach Reed mentioned Mark DeLeon and how he's helped you a little bit from a defensive perspective. Can you talk a little bit about his role?
For sure. He's Mark DeLeon again goes back to his defensive side of the ball here with Coach Sutton back in 13, 14, 15 when we were here. And so I think it's a unique role where you have somebody that has an expertise on defense that can come in and really help confirm and maybe tell us we're idiots sometimes when we think we know everything on offense that the defense is doing, and he can maybe help us out some. And he's been great with that. He pours a lot of time and energy into what he does. And I give Coach Reed a lot of credit for embracing that type of opportunity for him. And he's been a huge advantage this year for us.
So those were Matt Nagy's comments from earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. We'll take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk, come back and wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. 456 on 580 Sports Talk. You and I were talking off the air, Spencer. It was interesting the way Matt Nagy answered that question about the Tennessee Titans head coaching vacancy.
Yeah, he went on longer than I thought he would.
Yeah, a lot of coaches will just say, they'll give a boilerplate kind of, it's always flattering, or, you can't control what's said about you. My focus is on the Raiders. My focus is on this next week's game. Like, he got around to saying that. And this is not me accusing Matt Nagy of not having his head in the right place. He just gave a more, like, you could tell he's been through it before and actually, thinks about it. Not like a football robot kind of way, but in a, very human fashion. And
it was just weird.
It
was very weird to hear it, though.
Yeah, because we don't usually get
not
honesty.
the norm.
Yeah, honesty is not the norm.
Yeah,
when it comes to those kinds of things, usually we get boilerplate, we get cliches, and Matt Nagy didn't give us that. I appreciate that. I actually enjoyed that answer a little bit more than I would have enjoyed that. Or was it the Bill Belichick? And we're on to Las Vegas. We're on to Las Vegas. That's what we're doing. We're on to Las Vegas. Anyway. Thank you to Matt Nagy for a more interesting answer. In the 5 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs. We got headlines, either or over under, coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, and Facebook, WIBW News. However you're hanging out with us, wherever you're hanging out from today, we appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. We want to hear from you as we go along this final hour. Hop in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk, again, the name of that channel. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Smash that subscribe button. And you can also text the show, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Let's do the fall cash keyword, shall we? Last one of the day here on our fall cash contest on 580WIBW.com. There's a contest link at the top of the page, and you have this hour from right now, 5:07 until 6 o'clock, to enter this keyword and your information. Give yourself a chance to win $2,000. We've been giving away 2 GER every weekday. Did it last week. We've done it this week. Tomorrow's the last day, so you're running out of chances to enter and win $2,000 from your pals at 580WIBW.com. This keyword, this final keyword of the day, our 5 o'clock keyword for Thursday, October 16th, is prize. 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 Eyes on the prize. Prize is the keyword. Prize is what we hope you win. The prize is $2,000. So go enter the keyword prize on the contest tab at 580WIBW.com. And once you've done that, you get yourself entered, registered with a chance to win $2,000.
Your time is running out to win the prize.
Yes.
Only one more day of keywords after this.
Only one more day of keywords. We'll give you the keywords on tomorrow's show, and hopefully one of you will be the winner today. And if you don't win today, I hope you win tomorrow. If you don't win tomorrow, I hope something else good happens to you to make up for the fact that you didn't win $2,000. I hope you find $20 in a jacket pocket you forgot about.
Stay tuned till our next contest giveaway at some point in the near future.
Hopefully you win another contest down the road.
There'll be contests down the road.
Hopefully, hopefully you win. We'll have some Sunflower Showdown tickets next week to give away.
Oh,
hopefully,
that should be fun.
Hopefully you win some of those. So then be listening. Always be listening. Never stop listening. Leave the radio on at all times. Never stop listening to the radio. We have got Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, coming up in about 15 minutes to join us here in this 5 o'clock hour of the program. Excited to have Mitch on following that big Chiefs win over the Lions from Sunday. We'll look ahead to Raider Week. I was saying it earlier, nobody will get you more pumped for Raider Week than Mitch Holthus. The Raiders could go 0-17 every year for the next 10, and Mitch would still get you fired up for Raider Week. Raider Week still matter because Mitch Holthus is one of those voices, one of those connections to the Chiefs that makes Raider Week matter. So excited to have Mitch on Raider Week, as always. We'll play a little either or over under as well later on this hour on the program. And we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. One more reminder. To text the show, the number is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. And to interact on the live YouTube chat, go check out the program streaming live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. You can comment on the Facebook page, too. If you're watching on Facebook, there's a comment bar. Drop your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, and we see those, too, over at Facebook at WIBW News.
Did you see somebody in our text line is trying to take the fun out of your story about or the fun out of the story about the batting?
Well, yes, I see that. So, yeah, text from 785. The blood alcohol content of 337 is 0.337%, not 33.7% like a batting average would be. And I am aware that this human being did not have 33.7% of his blood as alcohol. I don't think he would survive that.
Yeah.
I do not. I don't think that's I was listening to something. I think the highest blood alcohol content ever recorded in a human being that survived having the blood alcohol content was something north of 1%, which is unthinkable. You've replaced a full 1% of your blood with booze. Anyway, but stylistically, the way it appears in stories, the way the blood alcohol content appears in stories is stylistically the same way that batting average appears, with a decimal point and 2 to 3 numbers after it. And that's why we use the comparison to the batting average from the BAC. But appreciate people listening to What Is Wrong With You, chiming in with that. We got Mitch Holthus coming up here in just a little bit, but we got our headlines first, and let's go ahead and get to the headlines, and let's make some space to talk about these. We wondered when we'd see them. The answer is today.
Thursday.
Yes, it was Thursday, just like it was last Thursday for the women. We had a notion, and it was correct. We have the Big 12 men's basketball preseason coaches poll, preseason all-conference team, and preseason conference honors. We'll start with the poll. Houston receiving 14 of the 16 first-place votes. Coaches, of course, could not vote for their own team. So I wonder which coach that wasn't Kelvin Sampson did not vote for Houston. I'll be curious. Houston, number one with a bullet, 14 of a possible 16 first-place votes. BYU got a first-place vote. They were second. And Texas Tech was third. Arizona got a first-place vote. I'm going to guess. If I had to guess, Sampson's vote went to Arizona. If I'm guessing. And then somebody else voted for BYU.
Yeah.
And I don't know who. Arizona was fourth with the one first-place vote. Then Iowa State at number 5. And then Kansas. So just like in the AP's top 25, Kansas is the 6th highest-ranked Big 12 team to start the season. Baylor is 7th. That is entirely like a Scott Drew thing because they don't have any returning players. It is literally a brand new basketball team at Baylor. And they're still picked to finish 7th in the league because Scott Drew is, in fact, a good coach. It took us a long time to get on track and believe it because for a long time, we had Scott Drew jokes on this show. We were not alone. But he's more than proven his bona fides by now. And even with a brand new team, he's 7th in the preseason poll. Cincinnati is 8th. K-State is 9th. Only 3 voting points separating number 8 and number 9. TCU is 10th. West Virginia 11th. Oklahoma State 12th. Rounding out the rest of the poll, Utah, UCF, Colorado, and Arizona State. Another team with a brand new roster at the bottom. So we'll start with that. Again, I tend to think Kansas is going to overperform preseason expectations because I think Darren Peterson is that good. And like, I understand. I agree with the top 3. Let me say that. I think the top 3 are pretty indisputable. Houston, BYU, and Texas Tech. I would have Houston number 1. They got their 3 best players back from last year. BYU number 2 with the best, maybe the best freshman in the country in AJ Dibanza, and Texas Tech number 3 with the returning conference player of the year in JT Toppin. I'm good with that top 3. I would hear an argument for KU as high as 4th. And that is what I think I would, if I were filling out the poll, I think I would have them ahead of Iowa State. Iowa State brings Lipsy back, but they lose a bunch. And TJ Otzelberger's done a really nice job finding mid-major talent that has translated to the Big 12, but that's not like a certainty that you're going to keep being able to find guys from the Ohio Valley or the MAC or wherever, and those guys are going to be good Big 12 players. There's only so many Curtis Joneses out there.
Yeah.
And maybe Otzelberger just has a knack for finding those guys, but there's a little bit of a step back from them last year. And I still think they'll be top half of the league NCAA tournament. Don't get me wrong. This is not Iowa State hateration hour. I've done that before. Trust me. You'll know when we get there. You'll know when we get there. But I would have Kansas above Iowa State. And then I don't know quite enough about Arizona's roster. I know they lost some pieces. But I would lean Kansas over Arizona just because I would lean Bill Self over Tommy Lloyd. Like that's the biggest thing for me. But Kansas is 21-17 the last 2 years in the Big 12. They kind of have to prove it a little bit.
Yeah,
I think they will, but they have to.
Brendan and I were talking about this in the office. Brendan Dorzinski obviously off today, but we were talking about it in the office after it came out, and he said, I think obviously we saw last year where KU was number one in the AP poll, number one in the Big 12 preseason poll, whatever. We agreed on this, that I think they're underrating Kansas just because there were so many expectations the last couple of years. And for Bill Self, this is probably the best thing possible, right? You don't have the monkey on our backs that we got to be the number one team. We got to be the number 3 team. We can prove doubters correct by being better than 6th.
Yeah. Sometimes the bulletin board material can be a good thing. Sometimes that is the kind of thing you can rally behind. As for K-State being 9th, I would, without hesitating, put them ahead of Cincinnati. When has Cincinnati been good? We keep waiting for it to happen for Wes Miller, and it hasn't.
When they lose Jizzle James.
Yeah, Jizzle James got kicked off the team, and he was their best creating ball handler last season. So, no, I would have Kansas State ahead of Cincinnati without thinking too hard. And I do think, last year, I didn't think there was much of a drop-off until you got to around 13, 14 in the poll. This year, I really do think there is a drop-off starting at number 8, number 9. Because TCU's got an entirely new team. West Virginia's got a new head coach after DeVries was only there a year and then took the Indiana job.
The whole joke there.
Oklahoma State's got to build that program up. Those 4 teams to me, Cincinnati, TCU, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, are a cut below the top 8. And then 13 through 16 is that's the Moneyball joke. 53 feet of crap, and then you get to Utah and UCF and Colorado and Arizona State. And Utah is, I think, building. They got a first-year head coach. I think the seat's got to be warm for Johnny Dawkins at UCF. I think it's got to be scalding hot for Bobby Hurley at Arizona State. Tad Boyle should coach Colorado as long as he wants. I know that they haven't been good so far. They weren't good last year in the Big 12. You're not going to do better. Colorado basketball, I know what that was. I grew up there. They were only ever good before Tad Boyle when they had Pro Basketball Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups. That was the only time, and the only reason they got him because he was a Colorado kid. He was a Denver kid. So don't take for granted the success that they have had there and start thinking, well, we got to move on from Tad Boyle. No, you don't. You're not doing any better than Tad Boyle, even if you do finish 15th in the league again. The preseason All Big 12 team, the unanimous selections. There were 4 unanimous selections. They were Milos Uzan from Houston, JT Toppin from Texas Tech, and 2 freshmen, BYU's A.J. Dibansa and Kansas's Darren Peterson. Those were the 4 unanimous preseason All Big 12 selections. Also making the team, Richie Saunders of BYU, Emmanuel Sharp, and JoJo Tugler from Houston. I know they write him as Joseph. They've been calling him JoJo. Maybe he wants to go by Joseph now. It's going to take me a minute to get past him being JoJo. JoJo Tugler sounds cool to me. Sounds cooler than Joseph Tugler. He should want to go by JoJo. If it were me, I would go by JoJo. Taman Lipsey, the aforementioned Iowa State guard. PJ Haggerty from K-State, who was a star at Memphis last year, of course. And Texas Tech's Christian Anderson, also on the preseason All Big 12 team. Top in your preseason player of the year, Darren Peterson, your preseason freshman of the year, preseason newcomer of the year. And I like that they separate freshman and newcomer of the year. I don't think they do that in football.
Well, you got to do it with the transfers now.
You do, and I'm glad that they do. Preseason newcomer of the year, Texas Tech's Lawan Watts, who averaged 14 and 7 for Washington State last season. So those are your preseason honors in the Big 12. Spencer, give me a headline.
Yeah, the Chiefs and Raiders practice participation reports for the Chiefs. Nothing new. Well, I guess new is that Brashad Smith did return to practice today after he had an illness. Still, Josh Simmons is not with the team at the moment, did not practice again today, but full participants for Brashad, the aforementioned Brashad Smith, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Charles Omenihu, Nico Remigio, Jawan Taylor, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, obviously coming back. Maybe there's a problem there, but there's not. And they have added Jerry Tillery to the injury report with an elbow injury, getting treatment, but was a full participant in practice. As for the Raiders, no official report out today, but Ryan McFadden, the Raiders ESPN reporter, posted on X earlier today. Wide receiver Jacoby Myers, dealing with a knee and a toe, is not participating, despite Chip Kelly saying he was expecting him to. Tight end Brock Bowers with a knee remains absent, and running back Dylan, is it Lobb?
I think it's
Lobby returned to practice dealing with a hamstring injury. Not sure if that's limited or full, but that's what we got from the practice participation reports.
Next headline, mentioned this when it broke in the 3:00 hour. Indiana University and football coach Curt Cignetti have agreed to an 8-year contract that will keep Cignetti in Bloomington through 2033 with a raise. Naturally, the average annual compensation on the 8-year deal, approximately $11.6 million. That's right. The third highest paid coach in America, football coach, is at the University of Indiana.
Yes, and also the contract is fully guaranteed if he's fired with no call, or you know what I mean.
Yeah. Buyout to leave. His old buyout was $10 million on December 1st of 2025. This obviously changes that equation. And Curt Cignetti making a statement in which he said, quote, "I plan on retiring as a Hoosier." Cignetti's not a young coach. Is
64.
Yeah, so it's part of this. Like he's
I mean, it's crazy that you're doing this at 64. That he's kind of had a meteoric rise.
He certainly has,
and he went from making I think like 400,000 or 600,000 just in 2022 to now this.
So next on deck, we all turn our eyes to Lincoln, Nebraska, and see if Nebraska does something with Matt Rule. I don't think they're going to. I think Rule's taking the Penn State job. He played there. He's said it's his dream job. I think he's going from Nebraska to Penn State this offseason. But that's a topic for another day. Let's do a quick playoff roundup, shall we?
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
The Toronto Blue Jays found their sticks last night. They fell behind 2-0, 3 batters in to Game 3 of the ALCS. T-Mobile Park in Seattle was jumping, and then the Jays jumped on Mariners starter George Kirby. 13-4, Toronto beats Seattle Game 3 of that series. I mean, we'll get a series in that one, as that series now 2-1 in favor of Seattle. Game 4 is tonight. Game 3 of the NLCS is just underway. And it took the Dodgers just 6 pitches to take a 1-0 lead on the Milwaukee Brewers. A triple by Shohei Ohtani and a double by Mookie Betts. And Will Smith has just struck out. So for the first out of the inning in the bottom half of the first. Aaron Ashby getting the start for Milwaukee. Tyler Glasnow on the hill for the Dodgers. We'll take a timeout. Come back with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, on 580 Sports Talk. 526 on 580 Sports Talk, and we are pleased to be joined, as we are every Thursday during the Chiefs season at this time, by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. His appearances on 580 Sports Talk are brought to us by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azura Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCall, or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, I said on Monday's show it was the big game Chiefs who showed up Sunday night against the Detroit Lions. That was a locked-in and focused and clean-playing football team that delivered probably their best performance of the season in that 30-17 win over the previously red-hot Detroit Lions. What was the biggest thing that you felt like the team took away from that performance, from how well they played against such an outstanding opponent to win that game and get back to 500?
The feeling you have on the 4th of July when you're in charge of lighting the fireworks display, and you light it and you're so excited about what could happen, but then the first part of the fireworks go off and you realize, hey, there's a whole lot more to this. I think that was the feeling in that game. I think it's impressive to play as solid a game, complete a game as the Chiefs played on a short week. I've told you before, and I think the analytics bear it out. But you go on the short week playing Monday Night Football, especially on the road, you're not exactly just ready to go on that next Sunday. But the fact that the Chiefs were so focused and locked in on that game, and they realize now that the best football really is potentially ahead of them, this is you running your fireworks display for your family on the 4th of July.
Yeah, and the excitement after the game, obviously, is that they're going to be made whole this week with Rashee Rice returning to action after completing the service of his 6-game suspension. And even in the moment, it was excitement for what they had accomplished against that Lions defense, but also, like you said, the anticipation of what's to come. And the thing that stood out the most to me is a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster expressing his excitement about it when, you know, he's a guy that might see a few fewer snaps. There's going to be a little less to go around in that wide receiver room, but Juju could care less. He's excited for his teammate. He's excited for his team. And I think that speaks to a lot of things, camaraderie in the locker room for one, but what does that reveal to you about where this offense is and what they feel like they're capable of?
The only way it's going to work is for everybody to be unselfish. If your agent's complaining about you not getting enough targets or catches because he wants to do some endorsement, you might want to stand down. Juju Smith-Schuster's in a really good place right now, and I told you a couple of weeks ago that I call him the door hinge because of so many ways that he helps this offense, even when he does not catch the ball. But let me think through Juju's life here a second. He wins a world championship with us in 22. Then he goes away to New England for 23, comes back in 24. Don't you think he's probably got some perspective here of like, okay, this might be right now the best situation in professional sports, the Kansas City Chiefs, this coach, this quarterback, this team, and I get to be a part of it again. I get a second chance after I left. I think that's where Juju's at in his mind. But right now, Juju's got such energy. It's something he's bringing every day. But he also understands now at his point of his career that he can do things to help this team, whether he gets a target, the football, or not.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. His visits with us, sponsored by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. The Chiefs defense maybe gets overlooked in some of the hype and the praise for the Chiefs offense and the excitement for the return of Rashee Rice, which is all warranted and just. But the Chiefs defense limited the Lions to 17 points on Sunday night. And in contrast to some of the close games that the Chiefs have lost this season, when it was time to get a stop in the fourth quarter, they went and got a stop. When they had the chance to hold a team to a field goal in the red zone, they held them to a field goal. The big plays in the big moments seem to come back for the Chiefs defense. What does that do for their confidence?
I think that it's saying you're just lighting the next batch of firecrackers. It's just the same feeling, anticipation that there's such a high ceiling for this team, both on offense and defense. The same anticipation is there for the defensive side. They did such a good job and such a good job of tackling. you have to cover and tackle the Lions. Don't let them get yards after catch. I'm on Ross St. Brown, Laporta, and they contained Williams, after just the one play. And then they did a really good job in the run game. They weren't getting just run over like the Ravens did by Montgomery and also Jahmyr Gibbs. So, yeah, the 9-minute and 31-second drive helped them because that reduced the number of snaps the Lions got later in the game. But this defense, and I asked Steve Spagnuolo about this today. We taped a segment we're going to run on your pregame on the network on Sunday. But we think about offenses getting into a rhythm, right? We think about them getting into a groove. We don't think about defenses being that way. And with Spags and the fact that he plays so many schemes and so many different 3 safety nickel, 3 corner nickel, 4 corner, that to get into a rhythm and a groove and an understanding of what everybody needs to do, that's the sense that the defense has, even though they're not adding someone like Rashee Rice. But defensively, they are just bursting with confidence and thinking it's just the start.
We're joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Mitch, Jaylon Moore, the left tackle, had to come in and obviously start a game that maybe he definitely wasn't expecting to play, but he played very well, and obviously not getting those first team reps in practice. What does it say about a guy who signed here probably to be the starter, didn't end up being the starter, but now has to jump into action, and how great he played on Sunday night?
Well, I think it says a lot, one, about his unselfishness, and that's a feeling that permeates throughout this entire team. It really is rare in this day and age of either college or pro ball of any sport where you have this many unselfish guys. And then his readiness. I think I've talked in the training camp reports with you guys how it's almost on a daily basis where Andy Hack will do this kind of fire drill where Trey Smith's down and Jaylon, you got to go in and play guard. Well, I haven't rep guard. You're going to play guard, like an emergency situation. So there's this readiness and preparedness that Andy Heck does, maybe as good as anything that he does, to prepare these guys no matter the circumstance. And I think that came shining through. The other thing, and Coach Reed and I were talking about this today in a casual conversation. One thing that really helps Jaylon Moore is Mike Caliendo's here. Those two played side by side at Western Michigan. And Mike gave some good intel to Brett Beach and Coach Reed and the others about Jaylon Moore. Are you going to spend some money on this guy? What if you bring him in to be the left tackle, but what if he doesn't win it, or the right tackle? And now he's back relegated to the role he had in San Francisco. And Mike Caliendo gave a glowing response to that. And so I think the fact that Jaylon's got some comfort with having his college side-by-side mate on the offensive line at Western Michigan probably is a help here that's a little bit under the radar.
And Chiefs, when they play...
Now, can I add this?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I add this, though? Here's my concern about Jaylon this week. When you find out on Sunday morning you're going to be the starter, and yes, it's Aiden Hutchinson, and yes, it's Kadir Muhammad, then you're thinking, okay, but you go off, there's a time where you go off adrenaline. You really don't have the time to think about it. Now he's had all week to think about it, and guess who else is thinking about it? Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz. And I think that this is a big week for Jaylon, because now nobody's surprised. He's not, the opponent's not, and Max Crosby loves to study opponents and find the weakness in them. So this is an even bigger week for Jaylon.
Yeah, when they get on the field Sunday, it'll be the first of 4 noon kickoffs for the Chiefs. Does that change kind of how they prepare for game day? Obviously, just had most recently a couple primetime games, and then then they had some late afternoon games. Does playing a noon game, is there a big shift in how you prepare for those games?
Yes. Now, usually that's the norm, right? But we're anything but the norm and have been that way for 4 years, 3 years, where we're all over the place on times and days. And I told you that's very, very difficult. I think there's some anticipation from these guys. First of all, they get a week. They're finally going Sunday to Sunday. And playing at noon, I think they're looking forward to it because they're thinking, hey, you beat the Raiders, you win the game, you get Sunday night. Like, you're going to have an evening that you don't normally get. And so you don't get those with 3:25 games either, by the way, because you're getting home at 10 or 11 o'clock. I think there's an anticipation and even like an excitement about it just because it feels different. And that's odd saying that because that's usually normally most of the people are kicking off in that slot, but we haven't for a long time.
Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, Mitch, it's Raider week, and we were talking earlier this week about how maybe the Raiders are a bit removed from the autumn wind as a Raider, John Madden, Al Davis era, but there's still a sparkle and a gleam when Chiefs fans of a certain vintage get fired up for Raider week. And I know that the Chiefs don't need any extra motivation because they're trying to get over 500. They're excited about the return of Rashee Rice. They pride themselves in their division championship streak. But Raider week still means something to Andy Reid and still means something to the Chiefs. And when you look at this matchup, where do you see this game being decided with these two teams?
Well, first of all, if you got fans that are listening to this going, oh man, the Raiders aren't very good, they may not have Brock Bowers or whatever. Do they still have those theaters up on the top of the hill by you guys, by TV, or is that they're not there anymore?
Yeah, that theater has closed, yes, but it still stands, yeah. But
so where's everybody go? Where do they go if they're going to watch a movie tonight? Where are they going?
They're going to the B&B down on 29th of Fairlawn.
Right, local ownership, good people. All right, let's go down to the B&B, and I'll buy everybody's ticket, and we'll watch the Christmas Day game from 2023. That's all you got to do. The fact that we lost to these guys, they weren't very good. They didn't complete a pass in the second, third, or fourth quarter. Now, where do the Raiders win this game? Exactly the way they won that game. And that was the fact that Malcolm Kuntz had 3 sacks, forced fumble. Max Crosby wrecked everybody's iPad, and they didn't turn it over. They didn't make stupid mistakes. Well, they're making a lot of dumb mistakes this year. I mean, Geno Smith is an ATM machine at 10 interceptions, worst in the league. In fact, it's his last, one of the nuggets of the night, it's his last, or his worst passer rating since his second year in the league when he was the Jets quarterback in 2014. So where do the Chiefs win? Open it up. Protect enough. And then unleash all this fury that you're going to put on the field on both offense and defense. But put pressure on the Raiders on every snap. Yes, they're going to come after Mahomes with a pass rush. You've got to be careful in your protections. But now, all of a sudden, for the first time in a year and a half, we're finally going to get Rice, Brown, Worthy, breaking the huddle, Brashard Smith, and then all the other cast of characters, mention Juju Smith, and turn that loose. There's no way the Raiders can cover all those guys. The Chiefs can even go with bigger personnel, whether that's 12 or 13 personnel, and attack the linebackers. They're good with good reputations. When you look at Devin White, you look at the guys that have been around the league for these guys. Landon Roberts is their Mike Backer. But they're going to have a really hard time covering from 8 to 15 yards. Attack these cats, and you can do it without doing it on 5 or 7 step drops. And then defense, bring the fury. You got to stop Ashton Genty. Really, really good running back. But if they don't have Bowers, the receivers are kind of good, but Geno right now is all over the place. But if you stop the run or make them one-dimensional, you can absolutely take these guys and throw them in the Missouri River.
All right, Mitch Holthus, give us some last big nugget of the night as we head into Raider week and the matchup against the Raiders at Arrowhead on Sunday.
I got a couple of them. One is if the Raiders don't play stupid, if the Raiders rely on their defensive front, that's the biggest asset they have coming into this game. But right now, that defensive front has an impossible task. The Raiders have the worst starting defensive field position in the last 16 years. I mean, it's been brutal. They're running out there, and the other team's getting the ball to 30 and the 40. And so, the minus 30 for them, and for the opponent, the plus 30. And then the fact you just have to look at Mahomes and what he's done against these guys, and the fact that he's 12-2. It is the best winning percentage against a division opponent by a quarterback since 1970. And people have wondered about the downfield throws, just 10 yards in the air. The last 2 years, Mahomes has had 19 touchdowns and 18 interceptions in throws of 10-plus air yards. This year, 5 tutties, no picks. And that's only going to get better because you just lit the fireworks. And you're just watching the fuse go toward the big display, and your family's going to love it. So turn it loose, and I'm really excited to see what this team can do, not just this week, but in the next several weeks.
Raiders, Chiefs at Arrowhead on Sunday, a noon kick. Mitch Holthus will be on the call. He is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he joins us on 580 Sports Talk thanks to Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union. Contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCullough, and Asim Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, I knew you'd get the people fired up for Raider Week. Thanks so much for your time.
You got it, man. I'm going to have a date night Sunday night. I watch Sunday night football. Like, what is this? We're done at 5 o'clock? This will be unreal.
Yeah, you go get a real dinner, the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'll
fired up.
Enjoy it, Mitch. Thanks so much. That is Mitch Holthus. We will step aside for a timeout. We'll come back. We'll play a little either or over and under here on 580 Sports Talk. Play a little either or over under. Going to start with an either or, and I might be breaking some news to some people, and it is sad news. Ace Frehley has died. Founding guitarist of the band Kiss has died. He was 74 years old.
Dang.
Yeah, great run for Ace. He originally lead guitarist, occasional lead vocalist, and one of the founding members of Kiss. So either or, Kiss all-time hits, Rock and Roll All Night or Detroit Rock City?
Rock and Roll All Night.
You're going with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, Detroit Rock City's got a great riff, though. Rock and Roll All Night is the Kiss song, but Detroit Rock City's got a killer riff. I might go with option C, honestly. I don't know you ever play Guitar Hero 2, I think it was?
I can't remember. I played a bunch of Guitar Heroes and Band Hero. That was the thing too.
Garage Band, or was that what it called? Garage Band?
No, it was called Band Hero.
Was it Rock Band?
Rock Band, yes.
Yeah, Rock Band. That's what it was. Yeah,
Rock Band.
Rock Band.
Garage Band is on Apple products.
Yeah, that's the app. Yeah, it's the Apple band. That's the Apple app. Rock Band. I remember playing Rock Band. We had one of my roommates in college had Rock Band.
I had DJ Hero.
Oh, I don't remember that one. Never played that one.
You got a turntable like this size.
Uh-huh.
I had it on Wii. So you just on one side you just plug the Wii remote in and sit it in, and then you kind of were like mixing DJ.
I remember on Guitar Hero 2, one of the earlier difficulty songs was Strutter by Kiss. And that's actually my favorite Kiss song. Like I gave you the first two, they gave you the most popular two, but my favorite is Strutter. That's the best one for me. And because I remember it from Guitar Hero 2. I never saw Kiss in concert, but I did see Fake Kiss, a Kiss tribute band. They were not.
They're all over.
Yeah, they are. Every state's got a Fake Kiss.
Yep.
I saw a Fake Kiss at it was a little music festival in Fort Morgan, Colorado, back in would have been 2016. Fake Kiss. They were awesome. All right. You got either or over under?
Yeah, I do. I've got an over under here. So the next rushing touchdown that Patrick Mahomes runs for, let me get up to the numbers here. That'll be the most that he has in a season in his career. He has 4 this year already. He had 4 in 22. And he had 2 in 18, 19, 20, 21, and 24, and he had 0 his first year and then 23.
Okay.
So he seems to be running a lot more than he had in the last few seasons, it appeared. Over under rest of the season to get to the total of 8.5.
So finishing with 8.5 rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
More or less. I'll go under. I think this has been a little bit fluky, especially early in the season when he was having to do a lot more running because just things weren't really functioning offensively. I think they're a little bit more functional on the ground right now, and I would expect that pace will not continue. I'm gonna go under. Feel pretty good about an under there.
Yeah, that's where I was going as well.
I got a couple over unders for you based on today's release of the preseason Big 12 men's basketball coaches poll. Kansas was 6th. Over under 5.5. The finish in the Big 12 standings for Kansas. Over would be 5th or higher. Under would be 6th or lower.
Oh, I'm taking 5th or higher.
You're going over.
Yeah, I'm going over.
I'm going over too. I think Bill Self has a team that fits together. And when Bill Self has a team that fits together, the last 2 teams didn't fit together. It didn't work. There were talented players. There were hardworking players. There were players that were good at certain things, but it just the pieces didn't fit. This year, the pieces fit. And Bill Self has pieces that fit. They're going to finish at the bare minimum in the top 4 in the league. So, I feel pretty good about it over there. How about K-State? They came in 9th in the preseason poll. Over under 8.5 to finish. Top half of the league, bottom half of the league for K-State.
I'll take the over. I think they finished somewhere between. Wait, what'd you say the number was?
Top half, bottom half. 8.5. So 8th or higher, top half of the league, or 9th or lower, bottom half.
I think they can finish somewhere between 6 and 8.
Yeah, I don't know that they have a top 4 ceiling unless Haggerty is like first team All-American good, and he could be. He was an All-American last year. He could be first team All-American good. But
the problem is are these transfers? Is their game going to transfer to the Big 12?
Yeah,
level?
that's a big question.
That's the biggest question,
especially for a guy like Nate Johnson, who's player of the year in the MAC, but the MAC's not a good league.
Yeah.
So how good is he going to be in the Big 12? We've seen guys come from the MAC and play well in the Big 12. It's not unthinkable, but that is a valid question. I think that there are valid concerns. The Euros, Kostic, Rapiak, how does their game, Buka, how does their game translate to the Big 12? I think they are fascinating to me. They are interesting to me in a way that I don't think their rosters the last couple of years were quite as interesting. But we know they have a legitimately outstanding college basketball player on their roster in PJ Haggerty. They have not had a guy that good since Keontae Johnson. And when they had Keontae Johnson, they went to an Elite Eight.
Yeah.
So I think the ceiling for Kansas State probably not win the league, but I think they've got borderline top 4, certainly top 6 ceiling in the league if Haggerty is that good, and if the Europeans, if their game translates. Bottom falls out, it could get bad because that could be hot seat time for Jerome Tang, and the atmosphere around the program could really turn, and it could get bad for those kids in ways that are beyond their control. But I want to believe. I do. I want to believe because, one, it's more fun when both KU and K-State are good. But two, I think Haggerty's the real deal. I think that these European players are very talented, and I think that Jerome Tang has proven before. It's not that there's no proof of concept getting guys to mix. It didn't work the last 2 years because they didn't have guys who were good enough, flat out. They got at least one guy we know is good enough, and that should go a long way.
I've got another one.
Give it to me. We'll go quick.
Either or, is Kansas ranked in the top? Are they ranked or not ranked after their non-conference schedule?
Oh, they'll be ranked. I think they'll.
Are they ranked top 10 after their non-conference schedule?
Top 10? They could be. We talked.
I say this because they have a big non-conference schedule.
They do,
right? They got North Carolina, they got Duke, they got Notre Dame, they got Syracuse.
No, Notre Dame, Syracuse stink. They'll win both of those games.
They got UConn.
UConn's at home. That'll be fat. Like if they win the UConn game, yes, they will be in the top 10.
And then they got the Border War.
That'll be the swing game for me.
Yeah.
I don't think Missouri's going to be. Well, they were good. They were decent last year, but they lost quite a bit. I have no idea what to expect from Missouri. If I told you I knew, I'd be lying. But I'll hedge and I'll say that if they beat UConn, they will be ranked in the top 10. And since UConn's at home and KU's record at Allen Fieldhouse is what it is, and Bill Self's record at Allen Fieldhouse is what it is, if you make me come down on a side, I will say yes, they will be ranked in the top 10 going into Big 12 play. And they'll have company. They'll be, if they're in the top 10, there'll be a bunch of other Big 12 teams in the top 10 too.
Oh, 100%.
We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up the show with the final word next. Let's wrap things up with a final word for this Thursday. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, Big 12, obviously we just talked about it, the preseason poll, and the first team comes out for the preseason. And I am so excited to get back out to Allen Fieldhouse and Bramlage Coliseum this upcoming basketball season. And I think there's just a lot. It's just, we're getting a crossover season. A lot of things going to be happening here on when it comes to football and it comes to basketball, but basketball is in the air, college basketball is in the air, and it's the best time of year is upon us. Next Friday, there are exhibitions going on. Crazy. That's my final word.
Yeah, that is it. Basketball is right on top of us. Again, next Wednesday, Big 12 Men's Basketball Media Days. We'll have coverage from there. I'll be there at T-Mobile Center for coverage here on 580 Sports Talk. Final word for me today. I think the Chiefs do need to consider kicking the tires on the defensive lineman market with the trade deadline a couple of weeks away, November 4th. I think it would be worthwhile for the Chiefs to add a starting caliber defensive end and make Charles Omenihu more of a rotational piece. I think you get more out of him that way when you can move him around and have him be a more rotational part, a pass rusher, a pass rush specialist, perhaps. And I certainly think they could add at defensive tackle, take some of the load off of the rookie Omar Norman-Lott, replace snaps from Jerry Tillery, who's not giving you a whole lot. If Arizona's taking calls, I'd call on Calais Campbell. No question about it. We got some 580 Sports Talk overtime coming up before Thursday Night Football. For now, for Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.